Ever find yourself laying in bed, staring at your ceiling, and you just can't seem to shut your brain off? Whether you're thinking about all the things you need to get done tomorrow, stressing about what you didn't get done today, or going down some rambling train of thought where our brains like to go at the most inconvenient times, like rehashing your negative highlight reel from the last 10 years. Sometimes it's hard to get our brains to turn off and fall asleep. But the thing is, our brains need sleep. Not only is sleep important for your health, it's when all your new memories are formed, and getting enough sleep is key to getting stuff done and having the energy to reach your goals. In this episode, I'll share 3 strategies you can start using today to get your brain to turn down the noise and actually fall asleep at night. Okay, let's dive in. In our busy world, it's a pretty common pitfall to sacrifice sleep in an effort to get more done. Maybe you stay up an hour late to respond to some emails before bed, or finish that project you really want to get off your desk, or tidying up your house and doing the chores you finally have time for after working all day. Or maybe your head hits the pillow and you're trying to sleep, but your brain starts reminding you of all the stuff you didn't get done today. Don't worry, my friend, you're not alone. Chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you're a go getter and you get stuff done. And you're no stranger to hard work. But that also means you hold yourself to some pretty high standards. I get it. You've got big goals at work and you've worked your tail off to get where you are. Nothing wrong with some good old fashioned hard work. Until that little bit extra every day grows and staying late one day slowly becomes staying late at the office every day and working through lunch and working right until your head hits the pillow. No wonder we're not sleeping very well. A study from 2016 found that 1 in 3 Americans aren't getting enough sleep. Most health experts recommend the average adult gets between 7 and 9 hours of nightly sleep. Let me be clear. That's not 7 hours in bed where you're spending 2 hours staring at your roof and stressing about your to do list before you actually fall asleep. That's 7 to 9 hours really sleeping. Are you getting enough? If you're waking up tired in the morning or wishing you had more energy at the end of the day, taking a hard look at your sleep is a great place to start. Because here's the thing, our brains and bodies need sleep. I remember after my daughter was born, we struggled with sleep. She was probably 9 months old before she started sleeping through the night. And that by that I mean sleeping longer than 5 hours at a time. I remember I was back to work full time at the hospital, I was starting my business, and I was getting up at least once, sometimes twice or 3 times per night with my baby. And boy, was my brain and body running on empty. Looking back now, I'm not entirely sure how I did it. I'm sure there's some science about the neurotransmitters and hormones for new moms that keep them mostly sane while they're chronically sleep deprived. But I definitely know my thinking was slow, I was stumbling over my words, and my brain felt like it was covered in a layer of mud, slowing me down all the time. Allison still loves to tell the story of how I put her in the bathtub one day with her socks still on when she was really little. And I'm sure sleep deprivation played a role. And you don't have to have experience being sleep deprived as a new parent to have felt the effects of a bad night's sleep. You wake up and it's like your head just hit the pillow. You can't believe your alarm's going off already. Maybe you need an extra cup of coffee or 2 or 5 to get going. You kind of stumble through your day, going through the motions, and you know you're not performing at your best. Chronic poor sleep quality impacts your body. It increases your risk of health complications, including heart disease, diabetes, even weight gain. It can impact your mood, making you more irritable and cranky, and it impacts your brain. You're more likely to make mistakes, to struggle to problem solve, and your thinking slows down. So, hopefully, I've convinced you how important sleep is, not only for your health, but also for your productivity and goals. You can't get stuff done if you have no energy, right? So, what can you do? One sleep problem that I know is super common for all of us recovering perfectionists and overachievers is struggling to shut your brain off when you go to sleep. Maybe you've been focusing on going to bed at a reasonable time every night, but as soon as your head hits the pillow, your brain turns on, right? You're thinking about everything on your to do list that you didn't get checked off today, all the stuff you need to get done tomorrow, what you're going to wear to that work party next week, and that one time 10 years ago that you embarrassed yourself by making a mistake in a meeting, right? You know where I'm coming from here. That mental chatter when you're trying to drift off into dreamland is the worst. And it can leave you staring at your ceiling late into the night, then frustrated the next day because you're tired again. Here are 3 strategies to turn your brain off when you're trying to go to sleep at night. Strategy number 1: train your brain that bed is for sleeping. Let me ask you this: do you do anything in bed besides sleeping and sex? Scrolling through your phone, looking at social media, or checking emails, watching TV, doing a few last minute things on your laptop? We've all heard that screen time before bed can impact sleep. But it's not just the screens that are the problem. The problem is when you're doing anything in your bed besides sleeping and some hanky panky, your brain has learned to associate sleep with that other thing, associate your bed with working. Say you do some work in bed every night for a few weeks. Our brains learn fast. So now when you crawl into your bed, your brain says, "Oh, this is work time. Let me get wide awake so we can check some emails." I know I preach the importance of routines and habits all the time on this show, and that's for a reason. Our brains are learning machines. They're learning all the time, which is awesome, until we teach our brain habits that work against us. If you're struggling to sleep at night, pay attention to what you're doing in bed other than sleeping. And this includes reading and other relaxing tasks too. If you like to read or watch TV before bed, at least do it in another room. Then when you feel sleepy, move back to your bed for sleep. It'll take some practice, but the more that you train your brain to associate your bed with sleep, the faster you'll be able to turn off your mind and actually go to sleep at night. Strategy number 2: have a bedtime routine. Yes, we're back to routines. Routines help our brain know what to expect. We all use routines. Think about what you do in the morning. For me, I get up, use the washroom, brush my teeth, get my daughter up, then I get ready and dress for work, then I get my daughter ready. And that routine makes my morning easier. I get up and my brain knows what we need to do first. And you probably have routines throughout your day as well. Simple routines that make your day run more smoothly. A bedtime routine is a great way to signal your brain that it's time to sleep. We use them for kids, right? For my daughter, we do bath, we watch one episode of a short cartoon, then we brush our teeth, get into bed, read a book, then snuggle for a bit. We know these routines help kids calm their minds and bodies so they can get to sleep easier, but we often ditch the routine as we become grown-ups. Come up with a simple routine you can use to signal your brain it's time to wind down and go to bed. Maybe a few minutes of meditation, reading a book, whatever works to calm your mind. Again, it'll take some practice, but the more you use this routine, the faster your brain will shut off, and the less time you'll spend staring at your ceiling thinking about all the things you should have done today. And strategy number 3, try the mental shelf exercise. This one works for any situation where you're struggling with annoying thoughts and can't focus. Like if you're trying to focus at work, but you keep thinking about another project, or you're trying to enjoy time with your family, but you keep thinking about work. The strategy is great for bedtime too, when those thoughts won't shut off. Here's how it works. Imagine a shelf. You want to picture it as vividly as possible. The color, the texture, where it is, all the details. I use a bookshelf that's in my living room because I can really bring it into my mind. Picture that shelf. Then imagine your thought as a thought bubble, like those cartoon character thought bubbles, Wile E. Coyote style. Imagine yourself picking up that thought and putting it on the shelf. That's your signal to your brain that you are shelving that thought for now. You can pick it up in the morning if you need to, or leave it on the shelf if that thought's not helpful. This one takes some practice too. Those thoughts aren't going to stay on the shelf right away, and that's okay. The goal is to train your mind to take that thought and put it on the shelf instead of letting it fester and keep you awake. This episode is brought to you by the Time Freedom Toolkit. Want to get your to-do list under control and actually get stuff done without juggling a million things at once, having no clue where to start, or feeling busy all the time? This toolkit has 5 video lessons, 2 daily templates, and 1 meditation exercise to help you ditch that overwhelming to-do list, stop putting things off until tomorrow, and have the confidence knowing you have the skills and strategies to get stuff done every day, all for just $27. You can learn more at drnicolebyers.com/toolkit. Okay, let's do a quick recap of what you've learned today. Our brains and bodies need sleep, but all too often we're not getting enough. One culprit? All those thoughts that love to come into our heads when we're trying to sleep. Pick one of the strategies you've learned today and start practicing. Remember, just like learning anything new, it'll take some practice for your brain to use these skills. Your brain's going to resist a bit at first. It's used to staring at your ceiling and spiraling into stress mode and self-doubt at night. But you can train your mind to stop focusing on what you haven't done today and get into a new habit of falling asleep and getting the rest that you need. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. Nicole Byers, and this is the Bold Life Podcast.